We have the next slide. So within the different services and departments that we have at North LA County Regional Center, we provide services for children from birth through adulthood. One of the departments that we have is our Early Start department. Within this department, the Early Start program provides early intervention services and supports for families of children that are birth through age 3. Early Start is a federal program and it serves consumers from birth to age 3. And the regional centers work with the local education agencies to offer the support, any parent education that is needed, and any early intervention service, which could be occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, nutrition services, etc. In Early Start at the regional center, the children and the family, which we call consumers as well, they will have what we call an individualized family service plan, an IFSP. In this plan, you will find information regarding the services that will be provided, the supports that are needed, and it will also include a portion for child's strengths and family concerns. When we talk about Lanterman Act Services, with regards to the Lanterman Act, these are the services that are provided for consumers ages 3 and up. Remember, like we said in the previous slide, Early Start is for children birth to age 3, and the Lanterman Act is for children age 3 and up. For the Lanterman services, our consumers, clients, have an individualized program plan, an IPP. The IPP must be completed within 60 days after the consumer is found eligible for services. And I need to mention that previously, with regards to the IFSP, the initial IFSP for Early Start services needs to be completed within 45 days from the moment that we receive the referral. It's very important to notice the difference on the timeline. Also, we wanted to provide you brief information about a new program that started on July 2021, last year, which it is a provisional Lanterman Act Services. And this is a program that has been in effect for children ages 3 and 4 that can be assessed by North LA County Regional Center clinical team to see if they qualify to meet the criteria to receive provisional Lanterman services. So with regards to those services, it's very important to understand that in order to be what we call provisional eligible, all of the following must be met. The child needs to be 3 or 4 years of age. The disability is not solely physical in nature. The child has limitations in at least 2 of the following areas that are of major life activity, which is self-care, receptive and expressive language, learning, mobility, and self-direction. So as you can see, this is for children that does not have a developmental disability, but they are qualifying under provisional, and we actually have a provisional unit within the regional center where the service coordinator provides the supports, services, and information with regards to what is needed between the ages of 3 to 4. Just before the age of 5, regional center clinical team will reassess to check if now the child has what we decide as a developmental disability. Next. For the purposes of this town hall, the term program planning will refer to both individualized family service plan, IFSPs, and also for individualized program plans, IPPs. So what is the role of the regional center? So regional centers like North LA, we work with, our goal is really to work with the consumers, our clients, and their families to create individualized and person-centered program plans. These program plans outline what services best match each person's goals and needs. For these regional center, all regional centers, as we mentioned, we offer services for children birth through adulthood. So we do have different departments where we can meet the needs of the children and the individuals that receive services. In here is not mentioning, but we have early start for 0 to 3, school age services 3 to 14, transition services ages 14 to 22, and adult services ages 22 and above. Next, please. So person-centered planning. An important part to program planning is the person-centered process. So what does this mean? This means the plan is based on the consumer's goals, the needs, and the preferences. It also means for us to work with the families, support systems, and advocates that the consumer or the family chooses. These plans can serve as a roadmap for the future. It can help us to, as a team to guide the work, for school, for home, for relationships, and for community life. This plan, as you can see, is a moving and fluid document that it is always a work in progress. The strengths, the skills, and the dreams will change over time, as it happens for everyone. And so will the planning. Like I said, this is a fluid document. North LA County Regional Center is here to support the process from birth to adulthood, and we are all in a team on this together. For this, I will pass it to Gabby Eshrati, the Consumer Services Director. Gabby.
Thank you, Christina. We're going to talk a little bit about service coordinators. It's an important job of the service coordinator to conduct the program planning with consumers and their families. The service coordinator helps the consumer, the family, and the team find and access services and resources. They also help advocate for the consumer's rights in various arenas out in the community, schools, with other departments like Department of Social Services to obtain services that are needed. Each consumer is assigned to a service coordinator after becoming eligible for regional center. The consumer will receive a letter notifying them that they become eligible, and then thereafter they'll receive a letter as to who their service coordinator is and how to contact them. The service coordinator will contact the consumer to make an initial contact and to start scheduling their initial meeting. Next slide, please. Helpful information for consumers and families. Your assigned service coordinator will reach out to schedule your program planning meeting. That's what we refer to as the IPP meeting. This is an opportunity to let your service coordinator know your preferred meeting time and location to meet and allow you time to prepare and coordinate if you want others to attend with you. It is a team meeting, and if you would like another individual to attend that meeting, you have the right to request it, and we will help coordinate that. Consumers and families get to choose if the meeting occurs virtually, in your home, or you may choose to come to the regional center offices or at a mutually agreeable location in the community. Next slide. What to expect from North LA. The planning process starts with a meeting of the planning team. The team will discuss how to best support the consumer's needs. It will also take into account various areas like what types and amounts of training and services are needed, how to measure and track progress over time, how services and supports will be paid for. All services and supports must meet cultural needs of the consumer and family, help the consumer and family feel empowered, and help consumers be a part of their community. Next slide. Some questions to think about before your meeting. What are the goals for the future? And what supports do you need for those goals? What will you need to navigate the community that works for you? If you have services authorized, are they helping you to do what you want to? Look at other options? How do you want to be supported? Many of these areas are questions that we ask. However, if you bring that information to the IPP meeting, it will be very helpful. Talk to your service coordinator about other options such as self-determination and participant-directed services options. These are different types of options that allow consumers and families more flexibility and choices about the provider of their services. Next slide. Okay, the program planning meeting. In the program planning meeting, the plan or document will cover the following areas. The meeting will first start off with strength-based knowledge so that we are aware of preferences as well as dislikes. What are the needs, as we discussed previously? It's important to understand and explain those needs, why the need exists, and what the current circumstance is. Again, we want to talk about strengths. What can the individual do? What do they prefer to do? And different types of settings that are preferable. So we build on those strengths to develop our outcomes and look at the needs. We want to look at both short-term and long-term goals. What are your current goals right now? What would they be in a year from now? And what would they be in 3 years from now? Many times we look at that when we're looking at transitioning individuals from high school to adult life, and they're currently in high school. So we want to know those goals so that we can look to develop a plan with all the entities that might be involved that could include the schools. Outcomes. We want to develop outcomes. The outcomes that we look to develop are meaningful. How are they meaningful to the individual? Meaning, what do they want to achieve? How do they want to achieve it? These outcomes include plans of how the outcome will be achieved. We would like the outcome to be specific, meaningful, and measurable. And then we look to develop a plan on how it's going to be implemented and all the different team members that will be involved. Services and supports is another part of the planning piece. When we're looking at services, what services are needed and what type of supports will be needed, either generic or funded through regional center. The services that we're looking at, the funding sources, like I mentioned, are those generic or regional center funding, and then we explain those different service systems during the IPP process and look at all the different alternatives. Next slide, please. Okay, additional questions that need to be addressed in the program planning. What skills does the person need to develop based on their age? Like I mentioned, we have different stages in life, and we're looking at different types of achievements that they're going to need to make to move forward from one age to the other. And what skills are they needing to attain? What are the family circumstances? What supports are needed to support the individual and their family? It's important for us to be aware of what the current situation is at home. We will ask various questions through the process. Some of the services that we review are respite, daycare, personal assistance, and those are twofold. They assist the consumer, but also help support the family. Is there a goal to live independently or with roommates? We look at living options as the individual is going from a teen to adult and planning for their future in adulthood for either independent living skills or looking at different living options. Is there a goal for adaptive skills or social skills? Is there a goal for employment or college? Does the consumer and family have all the information that they need to make informed choices? The service coordinator will present you with the various resources and options for those areas of need. Next. Services from generic resources that support an individual. Regional centers are required to assess generic resources as a part of program planning and part of the decision-making process to authorize regional center funded services. If there is a service that's available through a generic resource, we must assess the ability for the individual to obtain that before implementing regional center services. And there is a process in which time the individual is attaining those services that we could look at supporting with our services. Here are a few other areas that will help the planning team if the reports or documents are available at the meeting. Prior to the meeting, we would highly recommend that you provide us with certain information that'll help us prepare. For example, a copy of the individual education plan, a copy of the in-home support services notice of action or documents that you may have received, any medical type documents or reports, mental health conditions, any recent psychological reports. And if you are currently receiving a service other than this, any type of progress reports that you may have received would be welcome and highly valuable for that IPP process. I am going to now hand it over to Jasmine Zimmerman, Consumer Services Director.
Thank you, Gabby. Good afternoon, everyone. Next slide, please. So regarding advocacy and support to our consumers and families, North LA wants to remind our community that if you're having difficulty with accessing a generic or community resource, such as in-home support services, which we also refer to as IHSS, please let your service coordinator know so we can help provide advocacy. Next slide, please. Okay, so how often do these meetings occur? First, North LA wants the community to know that our consumers and families at any time can request program planning. We encourage partnership, so please notify if there's a change in circumstance or an update to the current plan. North LA is also required to conduct program planning meetings on an annual basis and quarterly for consumers residing outside the family home or in facilities. You should receive a copy of the plans within 30 days. If you don't receive a copy within the 30 days, please reach out to your service coordinator. Next slide, please. So who is on the planning team? The planning team includes the consumer and their service coordinator. Others who can support the consumer may also be included in the planning team. This includes family, friends, caregivers, advocates, conservators, and etc. Next. Service delivery. A response within 15 days must be provided when a request for services is received. The services must represent a cost-effective use of public funds. So that ties back into us accessing and researching generic resources first. The services must be effective to reach IPP outcomes. That's why it's also important to do IPP planning and update anytime there are changes. Note that Regional Center is the payer of last resort. And so as I was just mentioning, we must find generic resources before we provide funding. Due process is available for disagreements regarding service provision. We also, the 4731 complaint process is also available for any concerns about rights violations. Next. Okay. So increased access to the Regional Center. North LA has actively been addressing ways to get more information to consumers and families. So some of the strategies that we have tried have included the creation of the Consumer and Family Guide and Common Services brochure that now includes descriptions of each service. You can request the Consumer and Family Guide by reaching out to your service coordinator or through North LA's public information. These tools were created to help consumers and families navigate the Regional Center and to help guide the planning process. Okay. Assessment tools. North LA's website contains our assessment tools that are used in the planning process. So if you go to the website, then you can review the assessment tools that service coordinators will use as you're doing the IPP planning process. These assessments are available to our community to also review and access. We have created a button on the website homepage. We want our community to know that you may access these assessments before the meeting if you like, so that you're able to review them prior and that you know what to expect when you're going into the meeting. Okay. COVID-19 related services, family support services, and personal assistance. Recently, North LA sent a message to our community to clarify an important matter regarding current authorized services. We want to ensure people that services funded by North LA will not end or terminate without an assessment and proper program planning due to the date listed on the authorization. Services will also not end until there's assessment of the individual served and the family's current circumstance and needs. In most cases, the end date listed on the authorization, May 31st, 2022, is a prompt to reassess and not to terminate services. To also clarify, there is no DDS directive that is stopping COVID-19 services or supports. This is solely an internal reference for us to reassess. So the May 31st, 2022 date was just an internal date and it's not a DDS date nor directive. The reference that an authorization is ending or terminating could be contributing to concerns expressed by families and service providers. So we have been working with our staff to communicate that message and just work on wording and how to reassess those services. I will hand it back to Christina. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine. So we wanted just to share with you some of the resources that are currently available on our website. And one of them is this PowerPoint, which it will be actually, it's in English and Spanish, and you can find it on our website. We also have our service standards, which you can find there, which it talks about all the services that North LA has in place. And the assessment tools, like Jasmine mentioned, these are the tools that our service coordinators utilize when assessing the need. So you could find those as well. As long as also our common services brochure, which you would also find according to the age group. School age services for children ages 3 to 14, transition services for children ages 14 to 22, and then adult services ages 22 and above. We are currently in the finalizing the common services brochure for the early start age group, which it is 0 to 3. However, please make sure that you access our website because besides all these resources, we have always information, last minute information, current information on our calendar of events, trainings, and any other information that you might need to support you and your family. Please be assured that we would like to hear from you about what North LA County Regional Center can do to help you and to better prepare for planning meetings. We're always here. We like to hear from you, get your feedback, your concerns, your opinion about the system at what we do. And we encourage you to always be in communication with us. Thank you. And we are going to open it up now for any questions that any of the audience will have for us.
We don't seem to have any questions on the chat. So if anyone wants to ask any questions, yeah, we can. You can raise your hand, and I'll be happy to enable your microphone.
If there are no questions at this moment, but if you may feel that there are questions after maybe you watch this again or you read through the PowerPoint, please make sure to contact your service coordinator. If for some reason your service coordinator is not available, please make sure to contact our officer of the day by calling our main phone line and asking and requesting to speak with the officer of the day. That individual will be able to assist you and guide you through the process, whatever it is that you need in the interim while your service coordinator is available. Please make sure that we are always knowing what you need, connecting with us, and you can either email or you can call, but please be assured that we are here to support your needs and your family's needs. Gabby, Jasmine, I don't know if you want to add anything else.
As Christina said, thank you for joining us. Please reach out to us if you have any needs. We're here to assist you and help you through the process.
I echo Christina and Gabby's sentiments. Thank you.
It looks like we don't have any questions. Thank you, everyone. I would ask if you would be so kind to not click end when the webinar ends. There is a survey at the end of this webinar that we would very much thank you to fill out. It should only take you a couple of minutes. It's a 6-question survey. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you to all.